Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Time you want to take roll call, please.
Commissioner Dibdall,
Here.
Commissioner Wire,
Here.
Commissioner Shaw,
Here.
Mayor Denner.
Here. We have the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any further comments or discussion? Not hearing, all in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. We have nothing under appearances and acknowledgement. We'll move down into the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Any comments or discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Move down into unfinished business. Brad, you wanna bring us up to speed on the MAC?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, member of the commission, we solicited bids and had those awarded at last meeting. In the process of awarding those to the lowest quoter, when they got back to us, they said from the time that they quoted us to the time that we got the notice of whatever other people had got in line, so to speak, and they had to push the delivery date back to 8 weeks. So that from 6 to 8 weeks on it. So that's kind of what happens, with limited materials, they're got so many they produce per week or whatever. And then we got in the queue, we'll have to quote, but then when more people got their stuff, we came back into the queue to get it actually, and we were farther behind. So just wanted to make you aware of that. That came back from them. We could, if we wanted, try to go back to somebody else and see if we get the materials any sooner, but I'm afraid we're going to be in the same shape with everybody else, that people are in the queue, and that when you get your quote, they tell you what the queue is at that time. Others get in between you and that, and then when you go back for your second round, then you're that much farther back. So that's kind of the issue we're seeing right now with the lack of availability of parts. I mean, if there was stuff on the shelf, it wouldn't be an issue, but we're getting them right out of the factory as they're being built, and it's a tough market right now.
Did we order the parts though?
We
They are on order.
we did place the order last Monday or Tuesday, or what, it was Wednesday, excuse me, and put those on order. Tess got the notice, I believe, on Thursday when she was off on vacation. And we were both out, and then she said we could possibly get those rescinded if we wanted and try to go somewhere else, but I don't know that there was much difference time-wise, and I don't know, we'd have to go back and contact them, see if we get it any better or not, but they were more money for some of the other ones, so we're down to that right now. That I don't know that there's a better choice.
And if I recall correctly, I think even the ones that were even more money were still 6 or 8 weeks out. Even
They were similar, 30 to 40 days or whatever in that time frame. So, a couple days here or there, but like anybody, I know Commissioner Wire can attest to this. When you're talking with these people on their dates, they're saying those are kind of just fictional. They'll tell you a date, but that's kind of just ballpark. They don't know for sure until they actually place their order, because they're in the same boat where they're getting in the queue and asking. It's on everything. And then, things like transformers and the basements for the transformers. If anybody's thinking about doing anything where we need to get that stuff, they need to tell us today, even if they're not 100% sure. I mean, the problem is that we're 38 weeks out on basements and some transformers. So if we don't have it, and you go to build something, there's a good chance you'll have it built and waiting for our transformer before we can get you one.
How about the boiler, Brad?
We haven't found anybody that will sell it to us directly.
Okay.
And so we'll probably have to go through a contract.
And do you think that's something we really should just be ordering, or? I mean, that's the struggle. That's where I'm at. If we're gonna be 8 weeks out, now we know kind of inevitably where we're heading. If we're gonna obviously have to spend the time to fix the pool, and is it worth trying to get the boiler on order now?
That's what we were thinking, as we try to get it coming. And the main reason is to avoid any upcharges and inflation. I mean, the sooner we can get stuff tied down, the less we're gonna have to worry about inflation. At least we'll have a known price.
Correct.
It's a what's the name of the company? It's a slant fin copper boiler or whatever, so it's got copper in it, and it's got, stuff that's right now pretty volatile. And so we want to try to get that nailed down pretty soon. We did go out and solicit, requests for proposals or bids for people to come in and do a cleanup of the grounds, rebond everything to the motors and all that. We had 4 people invited. 2 of them came in, looked at everything and flat out said they wouldn't quote it. The other 2 said that they would, but neither one of them returned a quote by the requested due date today. So I don't know if they plan on giving us anything, but they did not make it on the due date that was requested of today. And I'd spoken to both of them on the phone, and I sent the email out to the one and the other one I spoke to on the phone, and
Welcome back.
didn't get anything back today. So, and I did call them again today to see if they were gonna get anything, and I haven't received anything back for a phone call or an email.
The parts we ordered, they're 8 weeks out. Do we have lined up a contractor to do that work yet, or we're still in that process?
We haven't done anything with that yet.
What about the other metal parts in that to get it cleaned up? Is that what you were just talking about? Not just the grounds, but weren't we gonna get someone in, clean up everything, recoat them? Where are we at on that process?
We haven't moved forward on that. Our concentration has been on trying to get the electrical system up and running faster rather than putting together one big project or multiple projects and going out for bids. We've just been working, solely on trying to get the materials here and find someone that would do the remedial work to get us up and going if we could. And then now we'll go out, since we haven't gotten any of those yet, we'll have to make a hard and fast decision here fairly soon on what we want to do. And then if we don't find anybody that wants to come in and do the remedial work, then we'll have to move forward with soliciting the bids for the electric, the boiler, and that work for doing the blasting and recoating.
I mean, I guess, yeah, I
I
guess
guess they didn't submit a bid today. I don't think they have any interest in bidding. It would be my guess.
That was a requested date. It wasn't anything super formal, but it was on a form that we sent out to them. And, everybody had it and gave it to them. And they, like in the case of Muth, they've been here 4 times, know exactly what the work is. Gave it to them ahead of time, and I got the confirmation back they'd be interested in doing it on email. And then I didn't hear anything back today, so I was kind of surprised.
But they've been working with this Jameson. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, I can give a recap. Can everybody ask a question first?
Oh, when did Moose, or when were the electricians there? Was it, I knew you were gone a couple days, so I didn't. know
They
if it
came in,
was
most of them came in on Thursday, and
Thursday.
then one of them came in early Friday morning.
So
And then Muth had been there multiple times over the last couple months.
Yeah, good question, Commissioner Shaw. I think from a staff perspective, with the delay in the material deliveries, as well as the inability for us to find an electrical subcontractor to do the cleanup work, I think we need to admit to ourselves that the pool's likely not going to open this year. I think everybody wanted it to. That was certainly the intent. The commission here and the staff have tried very hard to make that happen, but I don't think kicking the can down the road does our citizens any good. So I would like to see us pivot towards being able to use some of the funds that we would have set aside for the pool operation to try to give the youth and the residents in our community a different other activities to enjoy their summers. It's certainly hot out there. We all know that right now. And there's other options that we could pursue. The fire department's doing their splash zones, which I think is a great activity to be held throughout the summer. I think other ideas would be busing students to neighboring towns for pools. If we send 1 or 2 buses a week, and we say to our kids in town, sorry, we can't open our pool this year, but we're going to get you guys the opportunity to go to every pool in the area if you want. I think that'd be something for us to do. These are all just ideas at this point. We have nothing in stone, but other things that come to mind is I think we could look to partner with local businesses or other groups to see if we can have sponsorships to help cover some of the costs or the busing fees, or providing some chaperones to help watch those kids over some of those trips, since all of our employees have other work to do it now as well. But there's certainly opportunities for us to partner in those ways and try to provide some opportunities for them. We could look at doing pizza parties in the park, or there's the list can go on and on and on, but those are just some ideas that we've been brainstorming already. We certainly will keep working on the MAC and diagnosing the issues there and trying to get it up and running so that it's safe and done correctly. But I don't see any likely outcome where the pool opens this year, unfortunately.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that we've tried to exhaust every possible avenue to get the pool open for the kids. And we've done everything we can. I guess I'm in the camp with you at this point. Probably time to tear the Band-Aid off and move on in life, unfortunately. But we've tried everything, and I don't know what else we can do.
If we can get the materials here, I'd still at the end of the year, it'd be too late for, most of the recreation uses, but I'd like to do a proof of concept and make sure that everything is working so that we can go into next year confident that everything is functional, everything works, that we're ready to go. So that's, we may, if everything works out, we can get the contractor in and the weather holds out, we may be able to fill it at the end of the year, get it up and running, get everything working. But, the boiler was 12 weeks out, so we may not have it here yet, but it's just one of those things that, we want to get everything functional so that we know that it works before we, mothball it for the winter. And then, we do have a follow-on project, and whether we do that as part of this now, that if we aren't going to be operating the pool this summer, that we could do some of those things, and that's the kind of revamping of the, what I call the life safety systems with the chlorine, and then also the ventilation for the muriatic acid, and getting it so that we have a makeup air source for those that doesn't require pulling the exhaust out of the boiler and that type of stuff, so that we have that independent system there. I'd like to move the chlorine door to the outside of the building because of close proximity to the pit for where the motors are. So if we don't have that possibility of having chlorine get out, I know we don't use gaseous chlorine, but there's still enough in that room that they wear a mask when they go in there. So it's, at times, so it's one of those things where I'd rather have that open to the outdoors and not allow that to even get into the building if at all possible. And then, redo the ventilation system a little bit so that we can have a different makeup air source. And that way, if anything quits, we don't end up sucking the bad stuff into the middle of the building.
I would agree with you. I think if we're at that point, I would rather we spend the money and fix it correctly so we don't go down this avenue ever again.
It's critical we do it, get it running this year to test run it at least.
That's our intent.
The other challenge that we haven't discussed yet, but I think it's just as significant as anything else, is the labor force too. Is the community center only recently turned this operation over to the city, and so that we don't have the clear line of command or person in charge if the pool were to operate, let alone find enough lifeguards to operate. Best case scenario, you'd be able to find a few that would operate the pool at some of its capacity, but you wouldn't have everything open at once. But I think the labor is a significant challenge as well.
And I think it provides us the opportunity then to come back in, January and start hiring a pool manager and, whatever the case may be. Somebody that's gonna run the water systems and the lifeguards. And I think this provides us that opportunity to do it right, I guess, especially if we're gonna absorb it on the city side of it.
Yeah.
Commissioner Shaw, I will tell you that as someone that's been in the pool for a while, that one of the best resources for that are
Former
teachers that used to be lifeguards.
Yeah.
So that's probably your best bet because it's a fantastic job, and my sister did it for many, many years for the city of Fort Creer, and it worked out well for her as a school teacher. She could come spend her summers there at the pool and operate the pool and know how to, operate it and run everything. And it was a good deal, win-win for everybody.
I do like the idea of seeing if we can partner maybe with the school and get some buses and try to get kids to some neighboring towns, even if we split and divide and conquer and send them to a couple different places. Yeah, and during the week, school's providing free sack lunch for all kids in the community, so we can pack them lunch and send them on their way.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Get an afternoon.
Yeah, I think that's great with the potential of busing to other communities, but I guess I'm not quite ready to throw in the towel yet. These electricians that, that we hired or tried to get them out to take a look at the system, we didn't give them a lot of time here, so I'm still hoping that they can come back and say, hey, you know what, I can get this cleaned up in a couple of days, and from there we can, look at workforce and the other challenges we're going to be faced with. But course, if they come back and say, I'm 6 weeks out, okay.
And the one that said that he was local, that said he was interested in, did not give us a timeline of when he'd be available, so I don't have an answer for that.
If we hear from them, we'll.
Yeah, we'll certainly pass it along immediately. That was our intent. Like I said, I called the one today and said, you know, where's your quote? He said, we're gonna quote us, and I didn't see it, so.
I guess, I agree with Jameson on it's, and Commissioner Shaw, it's probably time to throw in the towel but I would still like to move forward, getting the boilers, you know, getting to clean up the other materials, coat them. I mean, they can come and do that before the electrical.
Does insurance cover the boiler?
Yes. And the coding and the electrical work, it's all in the final report that the insurance company gave us. No, it's discounted at 60.
Depreciated.
Yeah, depreciated down about to 65% of full face value. So there's gonna be some cost associated with it that will have to make up the gap. So
I'm gonna go back to, we do not know that the boiler is broke. Depending on how much out of pocket it costs, it's something we need to evaluate.
Good question. Comments?
I'd like to speak if I
Yep.
could when he's done.
Come on up.
All right, excellent. Hey, Shaver, for those who don't know me, I talked with Jameson earlier today, and that was my feeling. We just need to talk to the public and say it is not feasible. No way is this pool gonna open this summer. Number one, I know that pump room forward and backwards, and I have no idea what kind of mess it is, but and even if we could, by miracle, get things set up, there is no way staff's gonna be set up. The chemicals haven't been ordered and nothing, so there's just, I'm glad the statement was made, it's not going to be open. If the repairs, I tried to go online and I couldn't see the bid, and I don't know. But when you're saying panels, is it all the panel? I don't remember.
there's three main electrical panels.
Right, the main electrical panel for the building
And then
and,
there's also the motor control center.
right, the control center.
Yes.
But then, like, the pumps have theirs, the filter backwash has its, you know, the chemical have their individual controls. Will all those be replaced? They have to be, wouldn't they?
Well, when we looked at the, you know, the contractors came in and looked at it, insurance company came in and looked at it. The sealed box, for the most part, survived damage. We'll have to just pull all those apart and make sure there's no damage. If there's no damage, we'll leave those in place. The ones that are damaged, some of the light switches did show some damage, but most of them did not.
Okay,
So it's one of those things that's gonna have to be a disassemble, inspect, and then, you know, on that stuff and replace what's damaged. If it's not damaged, like I say, most of like the motors, pump motors are sealed
yes.
and they spin over freely, so we have.
Oh, do they spin?
Yeah.
That was my other
Yeah,
question.
They spin over freely. We went down.
Didn't
there
know
and
if they
spun
were
by hand.
seized or not, yeah.
Yeah, so didn't have to turn them on. We just went down and spun them by hand. They weren't locked up or anything like that. So we have a pretty good indication that they're probably okay. And so we try to do as much investigation as we can on the condition of everything. But there are a few things that we did not open up. You know, we didn't open up every single outlet box or anything like that, but we anticipate that some of those will have to be touched up.
Right, but the outlet boxes, well, except the ones that run the chemical feeders, usually aren't your big problems. It's the turning on of the motors and the pumps and those types of things, but I guess that was my, and I don't know if you know, and I had talked about to Jameson about this, when you go to get on the publications and go to minutes, April 26th is the last one on there. So there's no minutes, there's no bid for anything, so that was a little frustrating. But even if we can get these repairs, part of the problem is when the city took over the pool last time and you had your park and rec person, there was still no, that I could see in all the minutes and board meetings and everything, that there was no hierarchy of who went where. And when I talked to Lori, it was so frustrating that year she had it because there was nobody to go to. If you have a policy and procedure problem, if you have a maintenance problem, I think not January, but now is when things should be set up. Same time you're doing the repairs, because it's not a quick process. We have to know who is going to be where the buck stops, and we haven't had anybody. It's been shuffled from year to year to year. The other thing we need is who is going to do the mechanicals, who is going to do the chemicals. It's something that has to be a daily, someone's got to check them all the time. When I was running it, it ended up on the managers and myself. And it ends up in the middle of the winter, I was out shoveling to get to the doorway to see if that vent was working. And you get in there and you have to check it out. But my vision of that pool running well is we need it all in writing. We need it a hierarchy. We need to say exactly who is doing what, who is doing the chemicals, who's doing the startup, who's doing the close down. You have to have somebody in there that understands the pump system, the filter system. You need all of that. And it's very difficult as a person running that pool with managers you bring in. We may have a different one every year, which we've had some repeats, but we have not been as fortunate as Fort Pierre and had the same one. It's been a lot of turnover. So then you're teaching that person who is managing the pool how to run those pumps again, how to run all the chemicals, how to do all that, which really shouldn't be their job. Maybe if you're in a very small town, but even there, I've talked to many of them where their city people are the ones who do all that. It shouldn't fall on the manager. That's the one thing that I wanted to really stress, is that it has to have a buck stops here. It has to have who's in charge when, who does the policies and procedures, all of that. When the Park and Rec Board was brought in, when my understanding when I was running the pool was they were a policy and procedure board. That's all they did. And so it sounded like they kind of got roped into, the filters and everything else, which is, in my opinion, not their job. It should be a maintenance position. And if you don't have a full-time maintenance, then somewhere along in the way, the city, the water department, whoever, has to be the one where the buck stops of the chemicals, the pumps, the whatever. Because you can have a seal go out, you can have, something clogged, whatever the case may be.
So Carol, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If we're going to develop standard operating procedures, since you're so versed in this, would you be a part of that process with us?
Certainly, we've done them, they were all listed.
Yeah, no,
When I
So they
left the
exist,
pool,
We might have to.
tweak them.
tweak them, exactly, because it was set up differently before, because we were under the community center, yes.
We have talked about actually hiring a maintenance position that would actually be in charge of kind of the pool.
That
et
would be
cetera.
phenomenal, because we're dragging guards out there, 4 hours before swimming lessons here, we have to vacuum the pool. Because in the zero depth, the automatic vacuum does work in some places, but it does not work in all places. So, and then sometimes if you get a storm, surprise, you're out there, because that automatic vacuum takes most of the night to work.
Or maybe if we get to that point, we'll have Jameson maybe reach out to you and we can
Okay.
put together some sort of
All
an
right,
internal committee that looks at standard operating procedures, et cetera. Since you worked there many years, so you understand.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, is this the public comment section? I was still talking about the Madison Aquatic Center.
this is still the map. Did you have something
Okay,
to
yeah,
say
so I wasn't
about the
sure
map?
when it's, because I saw her name on the public comment and I was like, oh, shoot, did I miss it? Sorry.
Did- You had some other comment or with the map?
Not about the map, but other comment. I
Okay,
didn't
no.
mean to interrupt, sorry.
No, you're fine. Anything else on the map? Okay. We have nothing under new business, public comment.
Sorry. Nice.
Okay, do you want to state your name and
Yeah. Hi, so my name's Emma Martin. I'm here to talk about a research project that I'm doing with SDSU in Madison, as well as two other communities, Brookings and Coleman. So I'm an undergraduate researcher at SDSU, and I'm looking at placemaking in South Dakota communities and how people use placemaking in South Dakota. So placemaking is a process that encourages communities to create quality space, places that people want to be in. It allows people to evaluate the quality of their area and determine what they value about a place. And the placemaking process uses the values and needs of residents to develop vibrant and welcoming communities and cities and towns. So my research project is centering around the Place Standard tool, an online survey that asks respondents 14 questions about the area and creates a graph with all the data points to show the strengths in a community and areas that need improvement according to the residents within the community. Some questions include, just will the transportation meet your needs? Can you regularly experience good quality natural space? Do facilities and amenities meet your needs? Things like that, asking about the actual physical place and the feeling surrounding the place, because placemaking not only discusses the infrastructure, but how people react to it. Because you can have a beautiful park, but if no one wants to go there, then it's not good for the community. So I am, and all the information, is collected in an anonymous survey and will be used to generate data on the Place Standard tool, and my project centers around the tool itself and if it works in South Dakota, because it's never been used here before. And from my research, it looks like placemaking has not quite reached South Dakota yet. And it's very important in creating and developing cities, and South Dakota is growing right now. And our small cities need to create places that people want to stay in and people want to come to. So I'm going to be asking community businesses and organizations to promote my survey in all 3 communities. In Madison, I plan on asking the library, the community center, and several downtown businesses to keep my flyers out there. They have QR codes that send people to the survey, along with information and the internal review boards information. And to reach more people, I'd like to ask for your support as the city commission. I have an IRB approved email with a survey link that can be sent to potential respondents. If the city of Madison has like a listserv of local businesses or organizations or people that you think would be interested, and you're willing to share the email, I would be very thankful. And if there are other ways that you believe that I can reach out to people, I would love to hear them as well. All the data would be available to you afterwards for Madison if you would like it, to see how people respond. And my research paper will be done by August. And if you would like to see that, I can also send that to you. So that's all. If you have questions, I would love to answer them. Thank you. Yeah, I submitted it to the honors college and they're like, you do it. And I said, no, but anyway, I'm doing it now.
Eric, we can get you Eric at the chamber
Okay,
as a contact. He'd be another good one.
okay, awesome.
Get both Erics, yes.
Okay,
One at the chamber and one at the alliance.
okay, awesome.
Would your survey be asking about particular places in the city?
Well,
And have you
so
identified those yet? Or-
No, because, so part of the process is, for Brookings, I'm centering on one neighborhood. In Coleman, I'm doing the entire city. In Madison, I'm also doing the entire city. Coleman is basic, so placemaking works very well on a local, small neighborhood level. However, I wanted to see how it would work on a middle-sized South Dakota city, and if you would need to go down to neighborhood level to do a small city like this, because Coleman, like I said, it's only, what is it, 500 to 600 people, so that's a neighborhood. The Brookings neighborhood I'm doing is also between 500 and 600 people because it's right next to the university and has lots of students. And I was curious about how size would affect the survey if I did all of Madison, if I would get the reach, if I would get less people actually responding, or if I would get more compared to that.
I think you should partner with the school as well, if you could,
I am not allowed to ask anybody under the age of 18.
but I can send it to the parents.
Okay, yes, I would love to do that
So
then.
maybe you should come and talk to the 3 principals, because we reach quite a few community members.
Got it. Yeah, I considered doing under 18, but the IRB was like, if you do that, then you have to do even more.
No, it won't go, it would just strictly with parents.
Okay, so should I email?
Email.
Okay.
But I think it's got some really good value. Emma. I think
Yeah.
it's important as we continue to grow to identify the things that are most important to our taxpaying citizens.
Yeah,
And if there are, I like anonymous surveys. Sometimes the truth hurts a little bit,
yes.
but
And
maybe it'll emphasize change.
yeah, and I think it'd be great. South Dakota, the start of the survey was me looking at brain drain, which is the loss of college educated or well-educated individuals leaving and taking business with them, or businesses leaving because there's not enough people. And South Dakota has had, I think we were the 3rd highest in 2017 for brain drain, because people come for cheap school, good cheap school, and leave. And it's not good because people do want to stay here, but there's not a lot. And we have so much to offer that we can make wonderful industries, we can make beautiful cities, and we have beautiful natural space that people want to be in, but we're having a hard time getting there.
Yeah.
So I want to make tools that we can use to do that.
Thanks for sharing.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Let me know if you'd like to know more.
Okay. Any announcements?
We'll look at, we were talking earlier, moving that commission meeting at the community center to next week, so we'll have all 5 of you there instead of the week after. And we'll make sure to post that accordingly in advance, let our usual attendees aware of that as well, if that works out. But I gotta follow up with the community center. I'll let you know. That's all I have.
Anybody else? Okay, no executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move. Second.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you and have a nice evening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Gary, you got me a couple seconds.
Yeah, I looked at Rochester.
She's got to have it all.
I'm okay.